What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming back to my channel and checking out my video. Here I have another kitchen. This is a small kitchen. It's a small Section 8 housing. I think it's this one's senior living. So they have pretty small kitchens. The apartments are pretty small too. It's just a bunch of retired folks, you know, living off their Social Security. And this is a pretty decent contract. I get a lot of work from these people. They have, I think it's 12 buildings, so somebody's usually moving out or meeting the man upstairs. So I get very steady work from these people, and I make a lot of money off of them. And I'm starting off like I always do in every kitchen. I put on my first long strip of paper above the backsplash, and I run one long piece of tape. All that up there is just one full piece, and you'll see at the end of the video why it's always one full piece. In fact, if I mess up, I will start all over again. If the tape or the paper rips on me, I will start again. I'll put that aside and I'll use it for another spot, but that piece is always first. And now that I'm going to do the bottom of the cabinets, I put on my knee pads. Please guys, I will keep saying it every single time. Wear your knee pads. Protect yourself. So here I'm putting on plastic with tape. It's 3M plastic with tape. It's got a built-in tape. I think it's like 3/4 of an inch, maybe a 1/2 inch of tape. Now when I run that on the bottom of the cabinets, I usually leave about an inch off the countertop, and the reason being is because I actually run more tape onto it to support it, because that tape is very light, and as you're spraying it might blow the plastic right off. So, and it usually will, especially on the corners. So I run a piece of tape on top all the way around the cabinet, and I put a couple pieces on the floor, attaching it to the floor, because when you walk around and you move the drop cloth around, you will shift it and you might pull on the plastic. And the only thing left now is to cover up the sink, which I have another video on how to do that, or how I do that, and how you should do that and why. That's pretty much it. Now I'm just gonna hand sand it. This countertop wasn't too bad. It was just the previous tenant did not use a cutting board, which is the most common reason why people call me to refinish these countertops. Just people don't use a cutting board, and they just leave a bunch of cut marks. The only other problem besides that is somebody putting a hot pot on there and leaving like a circle or a crescent moon, or they might lay a can of something that'll leak and stain it. But that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna lay the drop cloth down, and I'm gonna blow the dust off that I just sanded. Blow that off. Now, if it was sticky or dirty, I would just use lacquer thinner and a paper towel, and I'll just wipe off whatever. I don't really use a cleaner, and I know the lacquer thinner is good. It won't cause any fish eyes when I go to spray it. And that's pretty much it. And then check my spray and my spray pattern, and I get going with the primer. You'll notice that every time before I pull that trigger, I always check what my spray looks like. That's very important, especially if you're in somebody's house. Although I don't do much residential, but it's just a habit that I've had for so many years, and it's a really good habit to have. Just check what your spray is. And as you can see, I just went horizontally, and now I'm going vertically. I always do that. I make sure I get a full 2 coats. If you go horizontal, even with 2 coats, you will probably hit the same spot and you'll miss the same spots. So this is just a good practice, just to know for sure that you did not miss a spot. And after those 2 coats, you just got to put some air on it. And I'm literally watching paint dry. That's really what's going on right here. It's a figure of speech for some people, but for us it's literal. And right now I'm just putting on a 3rd coat. Just want to lay it on there pretty good. They don't have much counter space, so I want to load it on here pretty good and protect this countertop, so it could take a good beating for the next tenant. And after that, turning 5 minutes of air to 10 seconds with the magic of editing, I will put on the color. Now what I use is a tan base color. It's a bunch of little flecks that come out of the gun that I'm using, and it has all different kinds of browns and tans and maybe some white and some black in it. Not too much black, but it's pretty neutral, and I don't offer anything else. I've learned from the people that I've worked with and the other companies that having that many choices, when you offer people that many choices, it actually makes them harder to decide. When I show somebody a sample and say, hey, this is what I could do for your countertop, this color, they could see this color's pretty neutral, it matches, and they agree. Some people might say, do you have any other colors? I let them know, no, I do not. And if they say, well, I'd like to try a different color, I make it so that they don't try a different color. I don't know how to explain it. I just let them know that I can't purchase just for that kitchen counter for a test. So they would have to pay for all the paint. They would have to pay for the full gallon, and I'll just make a ridiculous price. And I'll say, well, besides me spraying it, you'll have to buy the gallon, and the gallon is, you know, $350 before I even spray it, before I even put primer on it. So that usually deters them, and they agree. I mean, if you want a new countertop, for them right now, before COVID, it was maybe 1 to 2 weeks. Now it's 4 weeks to order and get one delivered. And they just don't have any time to wait for that. I'm literally going to be done in less than an hour with this, and it's going to cost them $200. So they could probably purchase this for a brand new one, not a painted one, a brand new one, for less than $200, but they'll have to wait 4 weeks. That means they'll miss out on 1 month's rent, and that's not worth it to them. And as you can see, this is another trick. I'm going to show you exactly what I do to air dry the fleck and the primer. I actually tape the compressor hose to it, just blowing down, and usually about 5 minutes on each countertop, and it's completely dry and ready to be clear coated. And there's 5 minutes there on that side, and I basically use that time to clean up whatever mess I left behind and catch up on some text messages or play some video games. Honestly, for the guys that used to smoke, I used to say, hey, this is the time to go and have a stogie, and they were happy with that when I trained them, and they felt like some control over their habit, because they knew a cigarette break was coming up between coats. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm just laying down the clear coat, and again, like I said, vertically, horizontally, and I think I laid down an extra coat for this small kitchen. They don't have much counter space, so one trick I did learn from another guy who trained me is to lay this on really heavy. I mean, even though you might blow air dry between coats, put it on pretty thick, and this is why. A tenant might damage this countertop, and like I said, this job was $200, but he might, if I have that clear coat on pretty thick, he might damage it only up to the clear coat, might not be damaged all the way through, and I've had this happen more times than none. And all I have to do is go back and sand down the clear coat and clear coat it. Now I do have to do all the prep work, but I just got to go in there and clear coat. Maybe not for the $200, but I'll do it for $100, and that'll still be like 20 minutes for $100. You can't beat that. So that's more than $100 an hour. I mean, that's almost $300 an hour minus the supplies. And now I'm done, and that's it, guys. I mean, I'm basically going in the reverse. I pull the plastic down, and after the plastic, I pull that one top piece that I spoke of before. I pull it down all as one piece. Everything usually gets laid right where the stove goes, just in case there's some wet paint and it gets on the floor. It gets on that floor where the stove's gonna be in case I can't get the paint out. Everything's done for a reason, and it's always done exactly the same in every kitchen, and that's how you get fast. Even though I am doing it the long way, I do it the way that causes the least amount of accidents. And that's pretty much it. I got all my trash right there and not just pulled all over the kitchen. It makes a big difference, especially when there's a dining room table behind you, chairs and whatnot, and other people's stuff, their trash can. You can work pretty good this way. That's pretty much it. That's all my trash right there, that little bag. Now I just gotta wrap up my air compressor, my ventilator, and I'm done. And there it is. As you can see, that's what an extra coat does. You see how shiny that is? You can see the bulb. That's how it's done, folks. Less than 1 hour, $200. It's beautiful. And the customer is excited every single time I do it. Every single time. They walk in, they say it smells bad, but man, look how beautiful it is. Alright folks, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.